Buying my first house felt like winning a quiet lottery. It wasn't big or flashy, just a modest little place on a tree-lined street where the lawns were neat, the porches were friendly, and the birds sounded like they'd rehearsed a morning chorus just for me. I had a backyard. I had neighbors who waved. I had peace. Please subscribe to this channel if you want more of such stories. Well, almost. 2 weeks in, I met Rick. Rick, the shirtless philosopher of suburban chaos. He owned 2 grills, a rotating collection of American flag tank tops, and what seemed to be a Costco-sized supply of Coors Light. His hobbies included standing in his driveway at 10 a.m. with a beer and explaining why rules didn't apply to him. He also owned Duke, a massive, well-fed golden retriever who looked like he should be selling dog food in commercials. Friendly dog. A little too friendly, maybe. The problem wasn't Duke's charm. It was where Duke chose to take his daily constitutional. Not near the sidewalk. Not in a discreet corner. Dead center. Every time. Right in the middle of my freshly seeded lawn. The first time it happened, I laughed. The 5th time, I stopped laughing. I figured it was a mistake. Maybe Duke wandered through a broken panel in the fence. So I walked next door, knocked politely, and introduced myself. Rick answered the door in a tank top that said, "Weekend Warrior," although it was Tuesday. He was eating something that looked like leftover ribs. "Hey," I said, "just wanted to ask if you could maybe keep Duke on a leash when he's out. He's been, decorating my lawn." Rick blinked. "It's all nature, bro. You don't own the earth." And he shut the door. Okay then. I'm not confrontational, but I'm not passive either. So I tried the normal things. I patched up the fence with zip ties and a small bit of wire mesh. Didn't work. Duke found a way in like he was part bloodhound, part prison escape artist. Then I installed a motion-activated sprinkler, designed to hiss and spray anything that entered the lawn. Duke stared at it once, then walked directly into the spray and pooped like he was cleansing his soul. I tried citrus sprays. I even bought these weird plastic deterrent spikes that are supposed to annoy dog paws. Duke walked right over them and gave me a look like, "Nice try." Rick saw the sprinkler and shouted across the yard, beer in hand, "Nice toy. Duke's built different." Cool. I'm built different too. That's when I realized I wasn't going to win by playing fair. Rick didn't respect boundaries. He mocked effort. So I stopped trying to prevent the poop and started collecting it. I bought a 5-gallon Home Depot bucket, lined it with a trash bag, kept a plastic scoop tucked under the porch. Every day, like clockwork, I'd scoop Duke's offering and add it to the collection. After a week, the smell was biblical. After 2, the consistency was something out of a post-apocalyptic soup kitchen. It was disgusting, and it was perfect. I didn't know yet what I'd do with it, but I knew one thing. Rick said I didn't own the earth. He was about to find out I could still make it smell like hell. By week 3, I had a ritual. Coffee in the morning, work during the day, and sometime between 6 and 7 p.m., like clockwork, I'd slide on some gloves, pop open the bucket, and introduce Duke's latest donation to the collection. I kept it sealed tight, but still, it had begun to take on a life of its own. The color shifted. The smell changed daily, depending on Duke's diet and the weather. By the end of the 2nd week, it had developed a film, a slick, swampy sheen that could probably strip paint if I let it ferment long enough. I started calling it the brew. It was vile. It was powerful. And it was mine. Meanwhile, Rick became even bolder. He'd watch from his deck, drink in hand, as Duke trotted through the gap in the fence and squatted mid-lawn like he owned the place. He once made eye contact with me and raised his chin in a toast while it happened. The arrogance was staggering. I began keeping a log, no pun intended. Date, time, poop location. It was almost comical how precise Duke had become. It wasn't random. He aimed. Dead center every time, like he knew it upset me. It wasn't the dog's fault. I liked Duke. It was Rick who turned it into war. One afternoon, I caught Rick on a call in his driveway. "The guy next door's a freak," he laughed. "Tried to put in a damn sprinkler like that's gonna stop Duke." I should thank him. Duke thinks it's a game now. He didn't know I could hear him from my side of the yard. Didn't care, really. Rick had the swagger of a man who never faced consequences. He was the loudest guy at the cookout, the guy who posted political rants on Facebook at 3 a.m., the guy who claimed his HOA couldn't tell him jack. He underestimated quiet people. People like me. So, I started fighting back. Subtly, I joined the neighborhood Facebook group and introduced myself with a friendly post. Hey everyone, new homeowner here. Just wanted to say how much I love this community, aside from the mysterious piles appearing on my lawn daily. If anyone's missing a dog with a strong digestive system and poor aim, hit me up. Faced with tears of joy paw prints, I attached a photo of the latest steaming prize, blurred for mercy, next to a ruler for scale. The post blew up. People laughed, tagged each other. A few messaged me privately. I think I know who you're talking about. One neighbor said her garden had been blessed a few times, too. The tide was beginning to turn. Then came the signs. That was the day I truly found my petty stride. I bought popsicle sticks, toothpicks, glitter glue, and tiny googly eyes. I made miniature signs and stuck them into the lawn like landmines of sarcasm. Dear Duke, poop elsewhere. My grass has PTSD. This is not your golden throne. Nature called. We hung up. But the masterpiece was the haiku. Dear Duke the Pooper, this is not your sacred land. My grass feels betrayed. I placed them everywhere. People walking by started laughing. One woman actually asked to take a photo. A jogger gave me a thumbs up. It became performance art. And Rick? He was furious. He marched across the lawn one Saturday, beer in hand, red in the face. Are you trying to make me look bad? I looked him in the eye and said, Buddy, I don't need to try. By week 4, the bucket was ready. Calling it a bucket of poop no longer did it justice. This was an ecosystem, a layered, bubbling stew of judgment and bacteria. I had started stirring it with a stick I'd labeled Rick's Legacy. It sloshed like soup made in hell's crockpot, chunks floating like they had opinions, a film across the top so vile it looked weaponized. This was no longer a tool. It was art. And art demands a stage. So I waited for the perfect Saturday. Rick's deck had become his throne room. Every weekend, he'd fire up both grills like he was running a roadside barbecue stand, drink beers before noon, and shout jokes no one laughed at. He invited friends. He played music too loud. And Duke? He pooped with ceremonial precision. But this Saturday, Rick had left early. I saw him pack his truck and disappear down the road. The window had opened. It was time. I put on gloves, took a deep breath through my mouth, and heaved the bucket from its hiding place behind the shed. It was heavy, foul, and perfect. I made my way to the border between our yards, his side marked by an uneven strip of overgrown grass, my side still recovering from Duke's digestive legacy. And then I began. Using an old garden trowel, I scooped out the brew and laid it along the edges of his yard like some ancient curse. I circled his deck. I outlined his fire pit. I placed dollops near his favorite chair, the one he always used to yell at passing cars. By the end of it, the bucket was empty, and Rick's kingdom smelled like it had been cursed by a vengeful dog deity. I tossed the gloves, double-bagged the bucket, and sanitized my soul. Then I sat back on my porch and waited. Rick came home around 3. I heard the truck door slam. I heard him whistle for Duke. And then magic. He stepped onto the deck, sniffed, and reeled back like he'd been punched in the face by a gas leak. What the hell is that smell? I sipped my coffee. Didn't even turn my head. Smells like nature, bro, I said. Rick looked around, saw the brown border circling his domain, and immediately started cursing. I waved. But that was just Act 1. Act 2 was the neighborhood. The Facebook group was already enjoying my tiny signs and haiku updates, so I took things further. I began posting lost dog poop notices every time Duke hit my lawn. Found. One steaming golden retriever surprise near my hydrangeas. Roughly 7-inch in length. Slight curve. Smells of betrayal. If this belongs to you, please collect before sundown. People loved it. I added emojis. I started rating them on a scale from mild offense to biohazardous hate crime. Others joined in. Suddenly, there were poop reports popping up from neighbors across the block. One woman posted a photo of Duke in her driveway. Another guy said he caught him leaving a gift in his garage. Rick was no longer just annoying. He was now a neighborhood nuisance. The next weekend, Rick tried to host another backyard barbecue. No one came. Even Duke seemed sheepish. That's when I knew this wasn't just about poop anymore. This was about power, about pride. Rick had made my lawn a target. I turned his reputation into fertilizer. By the time Rick noticed the neighborhood had turned on him, the damage was already done. His name had become a joke in lawn care circles. His backyard, once his kingdom of grilled meat and bass-heavy music, sat eerily quiet most weekends. The same guys who used to pull up with six-packs and folding chairs suddenly had other plans. You know what made it worse? The signs. I didn't stop making them. In fact, I got better at it. Craftier. More creative. Some were laminated. Some were color-coded. A few had built-in lights that blinked at night. But all of them were themed with dog poop-related shame. The haikus became legendary. "Oh, Duke, thou art bold dropping missiles on my lawn, does shame mean nothing?" Or this one, "Dear Rick, you may find respect is not won through beer or letting Duke poop one afternoon. I came home to find a stranger photographing the signs. Mind if I post these to the local subreddit?" he asked. "Please do," I smiled. Credit Duke the Pooper. By that evening, they'd gone viral. A thread titled "Passive-Aggressive Poetry War in the Suburbs" hit 2,000 upvotes. People from other cities chimed in. Someone in Oregon offered to mail me custom poop-themed yard flags. A screenwriter commented that this was Oscar-worthy pettiness. Rick? He was spiraling. The confrontation was inevitable. He came storming over one day, red-faced, holding one of my laminated signs with the grace of someone choking on his own pride. "You think this is funny? You think this is how adults solve problems?" I took a long sip of iced tea. No. Adults solve problems by cleaning up after their dogs. But I guess we're improvising. You're trying to make me look bad. I leaned forward, resting my elbows on the porch rail. "Buddy, I don't need to try." He stood there, fists clenched, then threw the sign on my porch and walked off. I picked it up, brushed it off, restaked it into the lawn, only this time, right near the fence where Duke still poked his nose through occasionally, like a furry diplomat caught in the wrong war. The final blow came from someone Rick didn't expect, the HOA. Turns out, a few neighbors had filed formal complaints. Not just about Duke's freelancing, but about Rick's lawn parties, his late-night shouting, and his refusal to follow basic neighborhood guidelines. When the HOA sent a letter threatening fines for repeated violations, including unleashed pets and offensive lawn behavior, Rick lost it. He showed up in the Facebook group, furious. "Everyone here's a bunch of cowards," he wrote. "Can't even say stuff to my face like a real man. Hiding behind signs and keyboard drama." Replies flooded in. One neighbor posted, "Maybe if your dog stopped pooping on every third lawn, we wouldn't have to." Another, "Your fire pit smells like a crime scene. Fix it." Even the nice old couple down the block chimed in, "Duke's lovely. But he's banned from our yard, too." Rick left the group the next morning. He tried to keep his pride for a few days, but eventually, the fence went up. An actual fenced-in dog run, professionally built, with a gate and a leash. The change was immediate. Duke stayed in bounds. The lawn healed. Rick? He kept his distance. It's funny how silence can be louder than shouting. How the absence of conflict makes the air feel lighter, like the whole street took a deep breath it didn't know it was holding. That's what it felt like after Rick's dog run was installed. The banging of hammer and fence posts echoed like a reluctant confession. It wasn't just the wood going in the ground. It was Rick's ego being boarded up, one slat at a time. He didn't look anyone in the eye anymore. He stopped grilling on the deck. Duke stopped showing up in my yard. And me? I finally reclaimed my peace. But I kept the signs, just in case. People began walking by more often. Strangers from adjacent streets came to see the infamous haikus. Some even dropped off their own. "Poop should fertilize, but not my welcome mat. Please, your dog is not Zeus," or "Golden Retriever golden streams on my walkway golden reputation." I started laminating the best submissions and posted them in rotation. It became part of the neighborhood charm. Some called it petty. Others called it justice. I called it therapy with glue sticks. One afternoon, while planting tulips near the fence, I heard a rustle. I looked up. Duke was at the gate of his new run, wagging his tail gently, head tilted as if to say, "You and I were never the problem." I nodded back. Then Rick appeared. He paused when he saw me. No shirt, of course, but a different energy. No swagger. No beer in hand. He hesitated, then offered a nod. Not quite an apology, but close enough. "Hey," he mumbled. "Hey," I said back. We didn't say anything else. We didn't need to. Sometimes peace isn't about handshakes. Sometimes it's about fences and the unspoken agreement. Never again. The neighborhood never forgot. Rick became a cautionary tale. New families were warned with a laugh and a story. Watch out for the lawn across from the haiku guy. That's sacred ground. Ironically, Rick started keeping his property better maintained. Trimmed the lawn. Kept his music lower. He didn't rejoin the Facebook group, but he did stop being a menace. All it took was dog poop, digital shaming, and poetic humiliation. And me? I kept thriving. The lawn came back lush. I added solar lights. Built a birdhouse. Started dating someone who thought the haiku signs were iconic. We even made new ones together, just for fun. This patch is guarded by glitter, shame, and one man who had time today. The bucket? Retired. Washed out. Disinfected. Stored in the garage like a weapon put to rest. But I still have Rick's legacy stick. Just in case. Ever taught someone boundaries without raising your voice? Please subscribe to this channel. Because some wars aren't fought in courtrooms or with fists. They're won with compost, creativity, and just the right amount of glitter.